Are you curious to know why the US dollar dominates the global economy? In this video, we'll explore the historical, economic, and political factors that have made the USD the most powerful currency in the world. From its role in international trade to the policies of the US government and Federal Reserve, we'll uncover the secrets behind the dollar's dominance. Stay tuned to learn why understanding the dollar is essential for anyone interested in the global economy. There are several historical factors that have contributed to the widespread use of the US dollar as a reserve currency, and these factors have evolved over time. One of the most significant factors is the Bretton Woods Agreement, which was signed in 1944 and established the USD as the world's primary reserve currency. Under this agreement, the dollar was pegged to the price of gold, and other countries could exchange their dollar holdings for gold at a fixed rate. This system provided stability and predictability for international trade and finance, which helped to cement the dollar's dominance in the global market. Another factor that has contributed to the dollar's dominance is the strength and stability of the US economy. The US is home to some of the world's largest and most influential financial institutions, and the country has a long history of economic growth and stability. This makes the US dollar a safe and reliable currency for central banks and governments to hold as a reserve asset. The US dollar's dominance has also been fueled by its widespread use in international trade and finance. Many commodities, including oil, are priced in US dollar, and the currency is widely used in international transactions. This means that countries and businesses around the world need to hold US dollar to facilitate trade, which increases demand for the currency and makes it more valuable. The practice of pricing oil in US dollars can be traced back to the 1970s when the US reached an agreement with Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil exporter at the time. Under this agreement, known as the Petrodollar system, Saudi Arabia agreed to price its oil exclusively in USD and to invest a large portion of its oil profits in US banks and financial markets. The petrodollar system helped to establish the US dollar as the dominant reserve currency for oil-producing countries, as other oil exporters began to follow Saudi Arabia's lead and price their oil in USD as well. This practice made it easier for oil-importing countries to buy and sell oil, as they could use US dollar to purchase oil on the global market without exchanging their own currency. Pricing oil in USD also benefited the US, as it increased demand for the currency and allowed the country to finance its trade deficit by selling US dollars to oil-importing countries. In addition, the petrodollar system helped to reinforce the USD's position as the dominant global reserve currency. While the petrodollar system has been challenged in recent years by the rise of new players in the global energy market, such as China and Russia, the practice of pricing oil in USD remains widespread and is a key factor in the currency's dominance in international trade and finance. Over time, however, the factors contributing to the USD's dominance have evolved. For example, the Bretton Woods system collapsed in the early 1970s, and the USD became a floating currency. This change made the US dollar more volatile and allowed for greater flexibility in international trade and finance. Fluctuations in the global economy can have a significant impact on the value and dominance of the US dollar as a reserve currency. Interest rates. Changes in interest rates in the US can impact the value of the dollar, as higher interest rates can attract foreign investment and increase demand for the currency. Conversely, lower interest rates can lead to a decrease in demand for the dollar, which can impact its value and dominance. Global trade patterns. Shifts in global trade patterns can also impact the dominance of the USD. For example, if other countries begin to rely less on the US as a trading partner and start to shift towards other currencies such as the euro or the Chinese yuan, this can reduce the demand for the USD and potentially weaken its dominance. Economic stability. The stability of the US economy is also a crucial factor in the dominance of the USD as a reserve currency. If the US experiences significant economic instability, such as a recession or a financial crisis, this can erode confidence in the dollar and weaken its status as the world's primary reserve currency. Global events. Geopolitical events such as wars or political upheavals can also impact the value and dominance of the dollar. If such events create uncertainty and instability in global financial markets, investors may flock to safe haven currencies like the Japanese yen or the Swiss franc, which can impact the value and dominance of the US dollar. Currently, the biggest competitor to the US dollar as a global reserve currency is the euro. The euro is the official currency of 19 of the 27 European Union member states and is the second most traded currency in the world after the US dollar. The Eurozone is the world's second largest economy, and many countries, particularly in Europe, conduct a significant portion of their international trade in euros. Another reason why the euro is seen as a potential challenger to the USD is the stability of the eurozone's financial system. Following the sovereign debt crisis in the eurozone in the early 2010s, the European Central Bank, ECB, implemented significant reforms and measures to strengthen the stability of the eurozone's financial system. This has helped to build confidence in the euro and increase its attractiveness as a reserve currency. Finally, some analysts argue that the rise of China as a global economic power and the increasing international use of the Chinese yuan may also pose a potential challenge to the dominance of the USD. However, it is important to note that the Chinese yuan is still subject to capital controls and is not yet fully convertible, which limits its attractiveness as a reserve currency. Capital controls refer to measures implemented by a government or central bank to restrict the flow of capital in or out of a country. China has historically had strict capital controls in place, meaning that the movement of money into and out of the country is heavily regulated by the government. As a result of these capital controls, the Chinese yuan is not yet fully convertible. This means that it is not freely traded on international currency markets, and it is not as easy to use the yuan for international transactions or as a reserve currency as it is for the US dollar or the euro. In order for a currency to be considered a fully convertible reserve currency, it must be freely traded on international currency markets, and there must be no restrictions on its use for international transactions. While China has made some progress in liberalizing its capital account and increasing the international use of the yuan in recent years, it is still not fully convertible, which limits its attractiveness as a reserve currency. The United States has the highest GDP in the world due to a number of factors. One major factor is the country's large and diversified economy, which is driven by a mix of industries including services, manufacturing, and technology. The US is home to many of the world's largest companies, such as Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, which contribute significantly to the country's GDP. In addition to these established corporations, the US is also known for its vibrant startup ecosystem, which is fueled by a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. Startups have been shown to be a significant driver of economic growth and job creation, and the US has a particularly favorable environment for startups due to factors such as access to venture capital, a large pool of skilled workers, and a supportive regulatory environment. The rise of the gig economy, which includes freelancers and independent contractors, has also played a role in the growth of the US economy. This sector has grown rapidly in recent years, with many people choosing to work for themselves rather than for traditional employers. This trend has contributed to the overall strength of the US economy by creating new opportunities for innovation and growth. China and India, two of the world's largest economies, also have significant GDPs, but for different reasons. China's rapid economic growth in recent decades has been driven by a combination of factors including its large and growing manufacturing sector, a large and increasingly affluent middle class, and significant government investment in infrastructure and technology. India, on the other hand, has a large and rapidly growing services sector, which includes industries such as IT, finance, and business process outsourcing. The country also has a large and rapidly growing population, which presents both opportunities and challenges for economic growth. GDP is directly related to the strength of a currency, as a country with a higher GDP is generally seen as having a stronger economy and therefore a stronger currency. This is because investors are more likely to invest in countries with strong economic fundamentals, which can lead to increased demand for the country's currency and a higher exchange rate. Overall, while each country has its own unique strengths and challenges when it comes to economic growth and development, the US remains the world's largest economy due to its diversified economy, the culture of innovation, and supportive business environment. As we have come to the end of this video, let us think over 10 questions that may come to the mind on why the US dollar dominates the global economy. Why is the US dollar the most widely accepted currency for international transactions? What are the factors that have contributed to the dominance of the US dollar in the global economy? How has the US maintained the strength and stability of the US dollar over the years? What role do the US government and Federal Reserve play in supporting the value and stability of the US dollar? How does the global demand for US dollars impact its value in the global market? Why do most countries hold US dollars as their foreign exchange reserves? How does the US dollar compare to other major currencies like the euro, Japanese yen, and British pound? What impact does the strength of the US dollar have on global trade and investment? How do fluctuations in the global economy affect the value and dominance of the US dollar? Will the US dollar continue to dominate the global economy in the future, or will other currencies emerge as contenders? Thank you for watching and learning about why the US dollar dominates the global economy. If you found this video informative, please don't forget to like, share, and comment below with your thoughts and feedback. Your support helps us create more educational content like this. See you in the next video, and thanks again for watching till the end.